I first watched Unfriended March 31st, 2020, almost a year ago now. And after I finished it, I wrote multiple pages on why the movie sucks. And now that all that time has passed, I am not here to hate, I'm here to help. So Unfriended, let's fix your movie.
Who is that?
I just tried to hang up on him.
Let's start off with the characters. None of them are likable, and all of them are annoying. I get it. The point is that these characters bullied a girl into suicide, and now this girl is getting their revenge on them as a ghost. So we're supposed to hate these people. They deserve to die, which is the movie's perspective. And the thing is, there's a difference between an anti-hero whose morals are questionable and your beliefs don't exactly line up with them, but they're just likable enough where you stick with them and you can relate at least on some things. But these characters are just plain annoying. Whenever there's any conflict, they just result to screaming and yelling, which results in this ugly, terrible Skype lag, which is supposed to be scary, I guess. So just imagine the most annoying person you know, and you have to be locked in a room with them for 80 minutes. That's what this movie is. There's the knockoff Jonah Hill character, which I sort of liked at the beginning. He's the comic relief, he keeps everything lighthearted, and then he just flats out justifies suicide and says it's like a valid option and like some people just deserve to do it. And then and there they just lost their only likable character. And then there's Val, who's supposed to be this cold-hearted, like, mean girl stereotype who, like, everyone, like, hates behind her back. But the reason for hating her is that she goes to parties, she gets drunk, and then she hooks up with people. When literally all of the other characters go to parties, get drunk, and hook up with people. So they should just hate themselves as much as they hate Val. There is no valid reason of hating Val when Val acts like every single other character in this. Why don't they all just hate each other as much as they hate Val? So what's the solution to this? It's actually pretty simple. Just make the characters more likable, more human. They just right now exist as a means to die. They are literally just treated as objects who their purpose is to die because it's a horror movie and people have to die. Instead, give them real human qualities. And I get it. The point of the story is that these people are bullies and terrible people, and now they are getting what they deserve. But at least everyone needs to have one redeeming quality to themselves, just so people can be invested and these aren't just objects we're watching just die. And another big problem is that half of these characters are established at the same time or after the ghost is established. So we have no time to interact with them and see who they are as a person. They just show up and they start screaming and get scared because a ghost is there. We don't know anything about their personality. So introduce the ghost later and just focus on the characters and at least make them memorable and have somewhat of a redeeming quality. They can be mean-spirited. They can, it's Mean Girls. People, Regina George, she's mean, but people like her because it's like a character who has like motivations and feelings and emotions. Something like that. It's like watching an episode of Scooby-Doo where the entire episode the mystery gang is in the exact same room as the monster, and they can't leave. And so Fred can't set a trap because he's dead already. Velma can't say jinkies and find clues because she's dead already. Shaggy and Scooby can't eat comically large sandwiches because they're dead already. And Daphne can't get her shoes dirty or something. I think that's the one... That's the only personality trait Daphne has. But you see what I'm getting at is that when you introduce your villain, like, the exact same time as everyone else, and they just start killing people, and before we even know who these people are, you just don't feel anything, and then they just start screaming, the people who are alive, and it just gets really annoying. And so that's how we would fix this. Hold off on the ghost, introduce everyone, make everyone somewhat likable. They don't have to be all like super nice people, because at the end these are bullies. But make the audience understand maybe where they're coming from. Maybe they bully because they have insecurities about themselves. And, of course, bullying someone should never, like, be justified. But at the same time, you just need to see their motivation. These people have no motivations to do anything except just survive because a ghost is literally killing them. And before that, they just exist as objects to be killed. So those are the characters.
Can we get rid of this person?
I don't know.
Was this here the whole time?
The next thing to fix is the deaths. The reason, why people pay to see this movie is just to watch people get gruesomely murdered. That's the most entertaining part. And I thought this movie was rated PG-13 until they start playing Never Have I Ever for 30 minutes of the movie. And during that 30 minutes, they just keep saying the F word over and over again. And I was like, oh shoot, this is rated R. How come I haven't seen like any blood? So this is highly disappointing for a movie that's rated R, because only 3 of the however many deaths get actually shown on screen. The rest of the deaths are not shown at all. 2 of those 3 shown deaths are somewhat set up and paid off in a way. All the other deaths are just random out of nowhere, and just these characters just kind of die just cuz. There's a guy who like gets possessed or something, and he stabs himself with a knife. That knife was introduced at the beginning of the movie, so good job there. Then there's a guy who gets possessed, and he shoots himself with a gun. That gun was introduced about 15 minutes before he shot himself, so maybe introduce it a little earlier, and then we can use it, have a little fun with that. But good job. I'm going to give you praise, Unfriended, for at least having a somewhat setup for 2 deaths. Now the other death that gets shown on screen is, you've probably seen it, it's probably like the most famous thing from the movie, is when the guy like sticks his hand in the blender. The blender just kind of shows up out of nowhere. We don't see the blender beforehand. He's not even in his kitchen. He's like in his living room, and so he just has a blender in his living room. I get it's a cool concept. It really is. Good job, Unfriended, for coming up with this. But maybe just put him in his kitchen. That's all you got to do. Put him in his kitchen. Have him drinking a smoothie beforehand. It's like, oh, this guy owns a blender. And then, boom, he's possessed. It gets shredded. And here's the most important part. When these people are dying, no lag on I almost said Zoom. That Zoom didn't exist. Skype. No Skype lag. Because, people who you made this movie for bought tickets to support you in your movie, and you're not showing them any of the deaths, the thing they want to see. So when he has his hand in the blender, I fully want to see like an at least 720p of his hand getting like shredded up, and then he puts it, and he's like, something like that. But the blender death is probably the best death, and I just like roasted it. So let's talk about the other deaths. Oh right, so the other deaths. There's this girl, I don't remember her name. Maybe it's Val. Was that Val? No, Val is another one. I'll talk about her later. This girl, I don't remember her name, but basically, she's hiding from the ghost. She's hiding in her bathroom, and it's kind of dark there, and she's hiding, and then her screen freezes, and then when it unfreezes, she has a curling iron down her throat. So we don't even get to see the actual, I'm not, we don't get to see the curling iron go down the throat, which is, something I want to see when watching a horror movie. And we can just ignore the fact that she just had a plugged in and warm curling iron ready to go down her throat. But, at least just show it. Just show it. It's stupid. I love it. Just show it. That's all you gotta do is just show it. Stop freezing, and then the next frame is the dead. They're dead. It's like if in Scooby-Doo. No, okay, I'm kidding. Okay. Okay, now we're talking about Val. She's the worst death of them all. She's much like the other girl, where it's not shown at all. Her screen freezes while she's sitting up, and when it unfreezes, she's on the floor. There's not even a weapon used. There's not a curling iron down the throat. At least that picture, because that's what they just show the picture of the other girl with the curling iron down her throat. It's just a picture. It's not a moving picture, like a movie, something I pay to see. But it's a picture of her with the curling iron down her throat. But with Val, there's no scary imagery. At least show me an image that's scary, because half of this movie is just a PowerPoint presentation slideshow of people getting killed because it lags so much when it's all pre-recorded, and they could have just made the quality better. But Val, she's just sitting up, and next frame, boom, she's on the floor. And the other thing about Val is, while she's like dying, and like it's building up suspense, she has this dog and she's barking in the background, and so you keep thinking, oh, what's the dog gonna do? Is the dog gonna get like possessed and bite her? What's the dog doing? It just keeps barking over and over again, and then when she dies, the barking stops, and that's it. There's no use for the dog except just to be loud just for the sake of being loud, because everyone's just screaming. This whole movie is just people screaming and being loud, and there's no time just to do anything other than die. So how do we fix the deaths, you're asking? Well, it's very easy. There are 2 steps. You show them. Actually, it's just 1 step. You show people actually dying, and then this movie would just, you don't even have to change the characters at all. You don't have to change the script. You don't have to change the plot. Just show people dying. Just show a curling iron get shoved down someone's throat. Show someone's hand in a blender. Show like how actually Val dies, because we just don't know. She just falls over, and that right there is at least as good as the worst Saw movie. People pay to see Saw because they want to see other people get tortured and die, not for the plot. You don't need a good plot. You just need to show people die. It's rated R already. You say the F word so many times because you're so concerned with being loud and people screaming that you forget to show what they're actually scared of. Show me why I should be scared. I'm supposed to be scared. It's a horror movie, but I'm not, because I just know you're not going to show any of the death. You're just going to show me a picture of the dead person. So yeah, that's how you fix the deaths.
It's just probably a glitch.
Well, the glitch just typed.
Okay, now we're going to fix probably the most important part of the story. I know I just said that none of the plot would matter if the deaths were good, but theoretically I want this to be the best movie ever made, and so that's why I'm going to fix the plot for you. Okay, and the big plot hole is the ghost. That's the one thing that's holding this movie down, is the ghost, because it's just too powerful. Like, it's all-seeing, it's all-knowing, because when the entire movie is on a computer screen, and it's established that the ghost can see what's on the screen at all times. That's it. Like, it's like, imagine if like Freddy or Jason just could look at you and you would instantly die. That's what this movie is. They can't fight against it. They just let it happen to them. And so that creates, the problem of the character is because they can't make choices for themselves. There is no choice to make because what the fundamentals of this movie is the person cannot leave their computer. And so how many choices can you make on a computer that can stop a ghost? 0. So they're just letting the ghost happen to them. And these characters don't make decisions. They don't do anything. And so really the only thing that writers can think of doing is making the ghost initiate a game of Never Have I Ever, which happens like in like the 3rd act. This movie doesn't have acts. It's just beginning, deaths, Never Have I Ever. Those are the 3 acts. And that Never Have I Ever lasts almost 30 out of the 80 minutes. And because the ghost can only just kill people. So now, we have to, draw the duration time out by having the ghost just pit these characters against each other and just consistently yell at each other for a very long time.
Yeah, you know that? Fuck you! You're a piece of shit!
You
piece of shit! Oh, fuck you! He said if I traded you that the 3 of us could live. I was trying to save your life, Mitch. And I was trying to save your life, Blair. You offered me the same goddamn deal, and I told.
And I'm gonna praise you, Unfriended. It's a very smart idea to have characters pitted against each other. That creates conflict, something the story doesn't have a lot of. But right here, it has some conflict. And what's the conflict? What are these big secrets that get revealed during Never Have I Ever? Someone crashed the other person's mom's car, and they say, "Sorry, I was drunk." Someone slept with their boyfriend's best friend. They say, "Oh, sorry, I was drunk." And then they just keep saying, "I was drunk," and then they just keep yelling at each other. And it's like, why was Val even a bad person when you just said, "I hate Val because she drinks and makes bad decisions." And then right now you're just going, "I'm sorry, I drank and made a bad decision." So the ghost being too powerful, it just makes you backed into a corner where you just actually create a plot hole where the main girl goes on a knockoff like Omegle site and tries to like video chat with people and be like, "Please call the police for me." But then it's already established that the ghost can see what's happening on their computers at all time. So the ghost should be able to see that, this person is on Omegle trying to get people to call the police for her. And the ghost just doesn't stop it when it stopped every other attempt to, call the police. But I guess not this one. And this should be a moment of like, oh my gosh, yes, the main character is outsmarting the bad guy. But no, it just makes you mad because it's just a plot hole. With everything I just said, you might be wondering, well, what's even the point of a ghost? And that would be correct. There is no point of having a ghost because the ghost is just too overpowered and it creates too many plot holes. Another one being, where are these people's parents? Where are their siblings? Where are their neighbors? They're all apparently on super empty houses where they can just scream and cry and yell and die with nobody noticing. So here's how I'm going to fix this. Okay? You might have to rewrite a majority of the movie, but that's okay. That's okay. We're in this together. I'm here to help you. There's no suicide. There's no ghost. This movie handles suicide so poorly that it makes 13 Reasons Why look good. It's a very heavy subject that maybe a horror movie of your caliber maybe not be the best platform to talk about that kind of thing. So here's what we're going to do. We can keep the characters as bullies, okay? And they bully this super computer nerd, and they bully them for being a nerd. And then the nerd gets their revenge by like hacking into all their computers, and then they start releasing these secrets about the characters, and be like, they start posting on like their Instagram saying, oh, I hooked up with my boyfriend's best friend. And that's where we can keep the Never Have I Ever part without having them play Never Have I Ever. We can keep their secrets by just having the nerd release all their secrets and online, and then they're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do because I'm getting exposed online. Now you might be wondering, well, where's the death, where's the gore, where's, you know, what you know, if I just talked the whole bunch of time talking about how I want to see death. Well, here's what's gonna happen is the nerd is gonna like send them a text and say, here's a choice, either I release your nudes or you put your hand in a blender. Boom. And then the character, actually, get this, has to make a choice. Imagine that, a character making a choice that either they get their nudes released or they put their hand in a blender. It's like, I don't know what to do, and then they go in with the hand in the blender kind of thing, because they're dumb, and it'll be a lot more fun that way. And then in the end, they learn that, hey, maybe I should not bully people and be a better person, and maybe I don't deserve to die for my actions, but maybe I can learn and be a better person, and that's called a character arc, Unfriended. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but a character arc is when a character starts one way and goes through a bunch of conflict and gets their beliefs tested, and then in the end, they have different beliefs. Because what you have right now is a boy. Boy learns that his girlfriend cheated on him. Boy gets mad. That's kind of a flat line instead of an arc. That's really just called getting angry because your girlfriend cheated on you. That's not development in any way. So yeah, that's my plan, is no death. No suicide, that is. There can be death. The characters can die, but just no suicide, no ghost. And then, it's the message of your movie as it is right now is kind of like, oh, don't bully people. But the message in this new version is really don't bully people, or else they'll force you to put a hand in a blender because you made that choice to put a hand in the blender. You didn't get possessed. Stuff like that. I don't know. I've been filming for.
Who is doing this? This is Laura's account.
Who would hack into a dead girl's account?
So in conclusion, I think we got really good stuff to work with here, Unfriended. And let's do it. Let's make the third one. I don't know, maybe you addressed these problems in the second movie. I never saw it, and I don't plan on seeing it. But maybe I could just give you the plot for the third movie. And maybe I was a little mean on you along this way, but I think it's tough love. Here, a compliment sandwich. I'll end this with a compliment. The one thing I liked about the movie is when the ghost possessed Spotify and would play specific songs off their computers that matched like the tone of whatever was going on right now. So that was good job, Unfriended. You can keep that part. I like that part. Maybe have it even more in this version. So tune in next time when I make another video. I don't know. Bye.